All right, dare we try this again? Let's see. Let's see if the bandwidth holds up this time, shall we? I tried to get a new IP on the modem and stuff, so we'll see what happens. So far, 30 seconds in, we're good. All right, we're going to keep going. So, yeah. In between the streams, oh, I don't know, it's dropping again. We'll see how it goes. I fixed my script here. So, here we go. We've got the first, the second, and the third column. And we actually, shout out to Roy on YouTube. Thank you, Roy, because my situation here was I need to get the Y position, and if the Y position is, if I do this and it's divided by 2 is 1, we're going to plant a tree, and so on and so on, except this one is 0, right? Let's run this. And actually, I need to fix my sound settings here. Hold on. There we go. And the bandwidth is still sucking. Son of a gun. It's sucking less right now, so we will see how it goes, but it, Spectrum Internet, you are great when you're great, but you're not great all the time. Or most of the time. To be fair, a lot of the time you are. But your upload sucks. So much for my 500 meg, right? Okay, so here you go. You can see this is now working, right? Basically, every alternate one, boom. Now, the beauty of this is, if we expand here, the size of our farm, see what happens. Because of our script, it's going to automatically compensate and figure it out for us. But I do want to clear and start again because it'll mess it up. And the bandwidth is still sucking ass. It comes and goes, so we'll see how it goes. Bursts of brilliance, followed by sucky ass. Couple of 100K. Alright, so you can see, you get the idea here, right? This is a great script for these two. But hey, what the hell happened to our carrots? We want our carrots, right? Well, you can see we've got this fourth row here. Sorry, fourth column that's not being used. So let's take advantage of it. We can say else if it's 4, and I'm specifically putting the numbers in here, 3. Programming is 0 based on this, right? So the first one here is 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay? Just to explain why that's a thing. So we're going to say harvest, right? By the way, I've moved the harvest into each of these instead of a global harvest for a very specific reason that'll matter later on. But I might as well do it now. You're like, but tell me why. No, not going to do it. And then we're going to say if get ground type, you may remember, equals, if it's grassland, we want you to till it. If it's not, and then if it's not grassland, you're not going to till it. And I want you to plant, whoops, sorry, carrots, right? Run it. It's going to go, what? What did I get here? Hang on. Sorry, I screwed something up. Did I not get my carrots? I got my carrots, right? Yeah. Carrot. Oh my God. I'm good. I'm good. There you go. Right, now we've got all our basic types running here. Let's focus on trying to get some more water, because we are not going to have enough water here. That is for certain. Right. And also, it's now kind of slow doing the harvesting. So which should we do first? Well, let's decide. Let's do the speed, right? In fact, we can push this a little higher once we get some more carrots, but let's increase the yield of our carrots here, right? And let's absolutely get the water running better. Still going down, but it's getting better, all right? So we got our basic types. We've got all this going on. We really need to be getting more water, but we need a lot more wood to do that. All right, can we do anything about this? No, because we need a lot more hay. All right, can we do anything about that? Absolutely, we can. Come on, 2.5, there we go. All right. See how you have to work this delicate balancing act? By the way, if anybody else has any questions, like Roy did, feel free to ask them in the chat, and I will try and do my best for you. Okay, what can we do now? Trees definitely need more wood, right? Definitely need more wood. But we got enough to increase the speed, so we're going to do that. Things are getting a little better, right? You see how this eventually starts to get the way you want it. So there we go. Dang, I think their bandwidth is actually held together for a few minutes. My goodness, are we over the hump? So you can see we've almost got the maximum speed here, right? 4 or 5. But you can also hear how much of a difference it makes. Triggered the output warning because we know we're running out of water. Yep, well we're trying to work on that, right? Obviously, there's a balance, right? Eventually, everything will grow quicker than you can farm it, harvest it with one drone. I'm dropping a little hint there. Yeah. Can't do anything about that yet, but our one drone, yeah, will not be able to do things quick enough, right? Because we've only got one more speed unlock here, right? We're nearly there, 4.8. So when you're debugging, you can slow things down if you want to. And you can also reduce the size of the world. Little tip. Setting the world size becomes very important later on when you want to look at things like mazes. What's a maze? Yeah, I know, right? Well, a maze is way down here. What's that give us? Hey, guess what? That's what gives us our treasures. Yeah. What about treasures, you're asking? What, you mean like when you want to unlock some of these things where you need treasure, right? And bones? What's that about? Mega farm? What the hell's a mega farm? Well, you see, lots of things to come. Lots of things, yeah. Nearly there, we're getting there. Thank goodness for the trees, right? So, you may be wondering, let me show you while this is doing this. You can click here to create a new script. Right? It opens a new window, but it's a new script. And you can click on here to change the name. So, any name, right? My recommendation is don't put spaces in. Because each of these is a script. Each of these can be a file. And you can import them. And this will mean something to programmers. If you're not a programmer, don't worry. We will cover it later on when we get to the unlocks. But I wanted you to know point. So, like, this is the main. Main is kind of a thing that programs execute. Not so much in this game, but in case you're wondering why it's called main. But we could call this, maybe this one just did bushes, right? Well, we just want to call it bushes, and I can shrink it up here. But if I need something that just this, whatever's in this script, I can just run it right here, right? And I can move these around. I don't need to see them every time. Just want to point that out to you. Okay. Now we can yield more wood from there, which is going to help us here in a second. So you can see each time it doubles, right? So I'm getting 0.8 water per second. I'm going to get 1.6 per second. We're going to start to break that point where we will eventually get more water than we need. Great. That's exactly where we want to be. Right? But you can see we're almost breaking even on the movement here. This is good. Got sunflowers. What are sunflowers about? Well, let me show you, right? We can unlock this because we've got enough carrots. What are sunflowers? Sunflowers collect the power of the sun. Why does that matter? Our drone is clearly doing fine. Well, yes and no. Planting them works exactly like planting carrots and pumpkins, but what does it give us? If there are at least 10 sunflowers on the farm and you harvest the one with the largest number of petals, you get 5 times more power. What does the power do though? Well, here, in general, everything that is sped up, yeah, that's exactly what it does, right? As long as you have power, the drone will use it to run twice as fast. There's the key. It consumes 1 power every 30 actions, right? Executing other code statements and so on and so on. So just like with water, yeah, we really want to collect those sunflowers. So what do we want to do right now? Well, do we want to just like break this up? Well, what about if we had 50% carrot collection and 50% power collection? Or are we in a position where we can expand? Well, yeah, we are. So let's do that, right? So let's stop this because we're going to want to clear it out. But now we've got an extra column. So hey, you know what? This is exactly what we should do, right? So if we're on the last one here, actually it's not going to be the last one. You'll see, right? We're gonna again harvest. A lot of repetition here, but once we unlock functions, we can do away with a lot of this repetition. If you're not a programmer, don't worry, we'll cover it when we get there. We're just going to say plant entities sunflower, right? But remember, it said, let me bring it up again, right? It works exactly like planting carrots or pumpkins. So we should probably put this in place. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put it here. So again, if the ground is grass, till it and then plant. Let's run this. Hey look, we got sunflowers growing. But we've only got one column. This last one's doing nothing. Right? But let's have this run. Watch what happens when we start collecting. Look at that! We just doubled everything. Right? And you can see we're collecting and using here. Wow, did we just speed the crap up here or what? Right? But we got a column that's not being used. Well, I don't need to replicate all of this. I can say if I equals 4 or I equals 5, do this. So if we're on either of these last two columns, guess what? Yep, planting sunflowers. So we are really kicking ass here now, right? But guess what? We're also running out of water again, as our warning here tells us. But it's not the end of the world. We just doubled the speed of everything, so we're going to get here pretty darn quickly. Might seem like it's a long way off, but it really isn't right now. Especially if you look at this and you go, well, you know what, if I keep boosting these... Remember at the beginning of all of this, I said super important to try and get those yields up as fast as you can. So let's go from 800% on grass to 1600. And we're only halfway, right, on that. So, great, now we're getting that. Now that should get us to our 19 a lot quicker to double our trees from 800 to 1600%. So you can see how, you know, these things evolve rapidly if you plan it out. Okay? I mean, look at this, it's going nuts, right? And all of this is why at the very beginning I said it was important to check, hey, can I harvest, right? Because you don't want to be going quicker than you can harvest. Well, now everything, because of the water, because of the sunflowers, everything is growing quicker than the drone can get to it. So we don't have to worry about that right now. And there's another one that'll make it grow. If that becomes a problem, we can make things grow quicker. How do we do that? By using this fertilizer when we get there. We don't have to worry about it right now, but fertilizer will make everything grow significantly quicker. So again, it's all a balancing act. Figure it out. Develop your own plan. Do it the way you want to do it. But again, in my blog post, I sort of cover some of this, right, to explain it. And I think that, you know, if you look at, if I remember rightly in the blog post, there's a picture where you can see, like, I got most of nearly everything maxed out on the unlock tree. And it's a huge farm and it goes nuts, but it's balanced and it works. So the fact that we're generating more power than we're using, that's fine. It doesn't matter. It's just going to keep stacking up because later on we will consume a lot of it, right? We really want to get this water going here. So once we get this up here, that's what we're going to do. But remember, every time you do something here, like carrots and that, it consumes a resource, right? You watch them, you'll see some go up, some go down. Play with it the way you want it to be. It's fine. now you can see we need pumpkins to expand it. Well, pumpkins is right here. We could do that right now if we wanted, but I want to focus on getting wood for water because, yeah, it's only 500 wood, but we're hurting a little bit here on not having enough water, right? So let's solve that problem first. Because the bigger the farm, the more water we're going to use. We're gonna go this here. So now this is essentially the maximum speed right now for our drone, but it's going pretty good, right? Everything is still growing quicker than we can harvest it, so life is fine. And if at any time you find yourself, let me show you something here, a situation where you're like, I need a lot of one particular resource. Well, again, what you could do is you could take this whole script that I've got here, this base script, create a new one, right? We can edit it. If the script is not run, this new script is not running, so it's fine. But we could simplify this. Remember I was saying, right? So we could strip out all of this, right? Here's our basic loop right now, okay? So I could say, look, harvest and just plant entities. Let's just plant bushes, right? And then let's click here and rename this script. So we're just gonna call this one just bushes, right? So if I stop this one, by the way, I don't have to stop it. If I start running this one, if I click over there, it's going to stop that one. But let's just run this one now. So all this script does, and I'm just going to shrink it up because I don't need to do anything else. Look, all it's doing is just planting bushes, right? But what if we don't want bushes? Well, I really don't want bushes here. So what I'm going to do is use grass, right? I'm going to close that up, rename this just grass, because grass is what I need right now the most. And just like that, boom, I got one little script up there I can run. Well, actually, let's just put it down here. That's just grass, right? So that's going to get me, look, now, great. Look how quick the grass is doing it there, the hay, right? To get trees. Well, obviously, I need the wood now for the watering, but this is an option. And quite often, I was having little scripts like this that did just one particular thing when I needed to boost quickly the amount of whatever that thing is, right? So, again, I could take all of this, make one for just bushes, but I really don't need to. What I could do is this. I can take that one there. Now remember, later on we can import these scripts, or I can turn this into a function when I've unlocked it. If you're not a programmer, don't worry, I'll cover it when we get there. And I can have a function that's just grass and just call this script, right? That'll have this function. And I can simplify the logic over here. So you can see, look, I'm already up to 10K, right? But let's solve our water problem here now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the one here. Remember this logic for the trees, right? You remember this? Well, I could do one with just this over here, but for now, I'm just going to let this run like this. Right? It's doing okay, but it's giving me the extra amount of grass that I needed quickly to get me here for this. Right? You can see we're going to get to 51.2 here pretty quickly. Click on that. It's getting a little better every time, right? Okay, let's start to think about some other things here. So, what else can we do? Well, we can do, again, we can expand what we collect here. These aren't doing too badly. Let's expand carrots a bit more in a second here. I can collect the fertilizer, but I'm not worried about that again right now. I'm collecting my sunflowers. I'm not collecting any pumpkins, but I will need to expand. So let's start considering that, right? We've still got other resource types we have not unlocked here. So for example, do I really need, at this point, 2 rows of sunflowers? Not really. Again, there's a complication with pumpkins, so let's unlock pumpkins, right? Pumpkins will work just fine in a single column. However, if you have multiple columns next to each other, you reap extra benefits. So for example, if I've got a 1 by 1 pumpkin, I'm going to get 1 pumpkin. But if I've got a 2 by 2, so, you know, this square of 4 here, I'm going to get 8 pumpkins instead of 4, right? And so on and so on. And these pumpkins can grow, they can merge together to give me these extra yields. So that's something to think about. But for right now, let's just get this going, right? So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to take this one. We're just going to do 1 column for now. We just want to get some kind of pumpkin, right? Oops, that was not the one. Command Z, Control Z, sorry, not on a Mac. Let's run that. Again, this is the huge benefit of having this clear at the top here, okay? Resets my farm. It's not doing anything. Why is that not doing anything? Well, let's take a look. Because I have a bug. And that bug is right there. There you go. Boom, pumpkins. Now, not all pumpkins are good. There you go. Look, there's a bad one. When I get a dead pumpkin, it will cause some problems. But in the way that I've got my script here is it'll just replace the bad pumpkin. Now, bad pumpkins can cause the drone to stop there and skip to the next row, depending on how you've got your logic set up over here. Just bear that in mind. But the way that I'm doing this is I'm harvesting. You cannot harvest a bad pumpkin, essentially, right? But because I've got this replacement here, it's getting replaced with a good one. Or another bad one. But basically it's getting replaced. So I've got around the problem. Just in case you get to a point where you're like, oh, why is it jumping over shit? Well, because you got bad pumpkins. Is the answer. Alright? So we gotta get to 1K. We got a ways to go there. But we got a bunch of things going here. This is good, right? We're almost at the point where we could boost our grass if we wanted, which wouldn't be a bad plan. We could boost our carrots right now if we wanted. Well, what do we, and this is where you got to look ahead. What do I use carrots for? Well, pumpkins. Oh, okay. Do I want to increase the yield of pumpkins? Yes. Right. I got the fertilizer. Do I want to unlock fertilizer? Again, I don't feel I need it at this point. I do want to start to think about cactus. Polyculture is an interesting thing as well, but cactus should be a goal at this point. Basically, the types that I've got left to unlock are cactus, dinosaur bones, and a mystery. And then over here, mazes, mega farm, and top hat, and then these are sort of our coding coding conveniences, whatever you want to call them, extra functionality in our codes, right? But again, for now, I recommend you work on getting those yields up, trying to balance things out a little bit here, right? So let's boost our wood production again. We're going to do just a little bit of grass here. Let that run for a little bit. And later on, there are things you can check, like, do I have any water? If I don't have any water, yeah, I could tell it to skip over. Or, you know, how many of a particular thing do I have? And you can put a whole cool logic in there for all that stuff. Honestly, at these early stages, it just doesn't matter, is my recommendation. If you're a programmer and you want to really complicate your scripts and get into the nooks and crannies, go for it, right? But if you're not a programmer, don't give yourself the heartache right now, okay? Just follow the guide of the way things unlock and get used to them, right? We've got some pretty cool logic here already, okay? You know, like I say, look, we're generating all these things, right? And we've got some pretty cool logic. This is a very nice, simple base script. Yes, there's a lot of repetition. We can fix that with functions and other stuff, but it doesn't matter at this point. At this point, boost your yields, get more water, get more power, try to expand the size of the farm, right? Don't make it any smarter than it needs to be, right? I want to solve this problem of running out of water. I don't need to make it any smarter than it needs to be. Right? And to do that, I need more wood. And to get more wood, I need to boost this, right? I need to get this to 76.8, but you can see 47 right here because I'm just running that one script, okay? That one script that does just grass. And I'll open it up here for those of you who might be dropping by the stream that haven't seen what we're working on. By the way, if I drag this window over here and let go, it's snapping to the bottom of this one, right? If I shrink this up like that, they're just snapping together. Weirdly, I can drag this one off, right? But if I click on this one and drag it, it drags them together. So just in case you wonder what's going on. But look, we're just planting grass and watering it. All right. If you want to let your water build up, you could just very simply use a pound sign there and disable it. Right? Just comment it out in code and let the water build up. Okay, but you know, I mean, we're okay right now as long as the water level is above 0, and you can see I'm at 0.73 going down. You know, again, play it the way you want to play it. That's what's awesome about this. All right. So I could let this run for a bit and let this build up, but it's just going to go down again until I increase that yield. So call it the way you want to call it, right? If I put this back, let me sort of make the point here, right? So yeah, it's going to top it up, right? We're going to get to 1. It can't go higher than 1. All right. That's up to you. Do it how you want to do it. But if I have it on like this, these are always... If I can put water on it, I am putting water on it, and I don't have to worry about it. Right? That's basically what I'm saying. Okay, we are getting this up here to 76.8. My bandwidth has finally figured itself out. Well done, Spectrum. You got there in the end. Nearly there. And I'm doing it this way because I purely want to boost the amount of yield that I get to make this number go quicker, right? I've only got 89,390 right now. And it's going to double the amount of wood that I get. Or the yield of trees, which will essentially double the trees, double the wood, right? So it really matters. Alright, there we go. Okay, now I'll switch back to running my main script. Right, you can see, look, it's really helping me out a lot here. We need to get to 205, and we're going to do that a lot better now. My pumpkins are slowly going up, so then I can expand them when I get to 1K here. Again, that'll give me other options. While that's running, I'm just going to get myself some more drink here. I will be right back. Okay. Hydrate. I've now got $1 water in me, just like the mom. Nearly there. By the way, you can get this game on Steam right now. I want to say at the moment it is $7.99 US. It's worth every penny. It should cost more in my opinion. I think I put like 100 some hours in this so far when I was playing it so that I could get my review done and that ahead of the release. And thank you to the developers for making that happen. Greatly appreciate it. Okay, here we go. So now we're at 12.8 per second. So essentially, let's look at the worst case scenario would be this one right here. And it's good. Essentially, we are breaking even based on the size of the farm at this point. Fantastic. All right. and we're getting ready to expand the farm here, that's great too. Can we increase this yield? Yes, we can. So let's speed that up. Let's get, we've gone from 200 to 400% on the pumpkins. That's going to help out even more. A reminder for everybody, if I hover over the background, I can zoom in and out, and it zooms in and out on everything, right? And then I can click and pan around. So there you go. Here's a cool thing, by the way. Notice this, right? The sound of the farm gets less as I get further away. I know it's a small thing, but it's a cool thing. So, because, you know, sometimes you might want to just let this game play to get your resources and go away and do something else. Well, you don't want to hear that sound. Instead of turning it off in the options, just zoom away from the farm. I want to get the window right there. Okay, there we go. All right, let's go back. Let's see what we've got going on. Okay, we can expand the size of the farm. So we are 3, 4, 5. We're 6 by 6. This is going to take us to 8 by 8. Click that. There we go. Now, again, because of the way I wrote this script, where we get the world size, every time it adds extra rows, we don't have to worry about it. Life is great, right? But you'll notice, hang on, what's going on here? What happened, right? Things are a little weird. Well, yeah, we changed our script, right? So, again, this is 0, this is 1, and so on and so on. So, 0, 1, 2, 3, so on and so on. The last one is our pumpkins, which is here, right? Well, actually, I should point out, the way this logic works is it's going to repeat itself. So, but we really want pumpkins to be next to each other to get that extra yield. So I'm going to change this and I'll explain it and show you. So if it's 5 or I equals 6, let's run that again. Right? Look what happened. Remember how pumpkins work. Because we've got 2 pumpkins next to each other, right? And they're all good in that those combine. So that's going to give me 32 pumpkins instead of 4. Instead of 8, right? So this is how this works with pumpkins. So wait, can we make that even better? Well, actually we can. Or I equals 7. Again, we can optimize this code later on, but it doesn't matter for now. It just does not matter. So hopefully we need to get enough all working together here to, we want to go for a 4 by 4, right? So we really need another one. Well, we could reduce these to 2. Right? I mean, we could certainly do that, right? And in fact, let's optimize our script a little here, right? Because as we said, some of these, right? Look, this one here and this one here are identical. So we could say, or I equals 2, right? And get rid of this one altogether. It's gonna do the same thing. Right? But I really don't need 3 rows, 3 columns. Debatable, but right now I don't feel that I do, right? So we've got that. We can say this, right, is 1, and so what we could do is we're going to adjust these numbers. I'll show you, right? So we'll make this one 2. We're going to drop these by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just for grins, right? because we want to try and make this happen. So for the last 4 columns, we're going to be pumpkins. And if we're lucky, look at that. Maximum size pumpkin right there, right? 108 pumpkins from that. That's why always read the information it gives you. And how do we know this? Well, a reminder, right? If I go over here, click on pumpkins. Remember, if we have a 4x4, we could even go to a 5x5. And absolutely, right? I mean, but we're at this, a 4x4 now, right? Assuming that their pumpkins are good. If they're not good, we're going to have a problem. And if we run out of resources, which we are, why are these blank? Because we don't have enough carrots anymore to plant all those pumpkins. So shoot, what are we going to do, right? Well, now we got to, again, start looking at how we're going to manage this, right? We have more than enough to boost on that wood there, right? The yield of pumpkins, carrots. So let's boost that up a little more, see if we can fix this problem. Great. We have mostly solved the problem. That is part of the fun here. We don't have enough by the time we get to this one. Oh, there we go. Now we've tipped the balance. Now we're good again. Now, this is kind of overkill right now on the pumpkins, but I wanted to show you how that works, right? We need 8K to expand the farm, so I'm going to let that go because I want to expand it before I start caring about cactus. Because at the moment, I'd have to destroy something here I really need to get a column of cactus, right? And why do we want cactus? You're going to ask yourself, Peter, why do we want cactus? Well, because if you look here, to get to the dinosaurs, we need cactus, 2K of them. And then to get to this mystery, we need 100 million bones from the dinosaurs. That's why we want to get to cactus. But also because up here, right, pumpkins, wood, and so on. But some of these change, right? Some of these may require cactus at some point, right? But, you know, in what, a couple of hours, we've started to really unlock this tree by planning and thinking ahead and scripting out in a way that makes sense for what we need. So I hope that makes sense. Ask questions in the chat room. Feel free. All right, we're nearly up to 5K of pumpkins. We need to get to 8 to expand. We could boost this right now. Is there any reason we should? Well, yeah, we could to increase the wood count, which would help get the watering over here and so on and so on. It's all a judgment call, right? Let's do that. Let's take that up to 3,200%, right? We're rapidly approaching our 8K here because of the benefit of having those columns next to each other to boost the yield, right? It's kind of a multiplier bonus there. And again, all of this is happening off of one script, right? Plan it however you want, but that's the way I do it. You can see the water starting to go down again, so we will have to care about that We've only got 2 more levels of unlock on the water here, right? Okay, nearly. All this talking just dries my throat out. I hope it's helping you. Let me know. Alright, look, let's do it. We're going to go to 12 by 12. Boom, right? Got to zoom out a bit more now. And let's stop this and restart our script. Look at those pumpkins going nuts. Look at that, huge, right? But we've got these 4 rows here. 4 columns again. Sorry, I keep doing that. 4 extra columns. Well, what can we do? Well, at some point, we probably do want to plant more carrots. We probably do want to plant more sunflowers. But we should also now start doing our cactus. To do that, we've got to get to 5K. That won't take us long, right? Because we can boost this when we get to 16K and so on. Let's go back and look at our script. And again, just a reminder for those of you, you can use an external editor, code editor, text editor, IDE, whatever of your choice to edit these scripts. They're Python files. There are instructions on how to do that. Here, look, you can go to external editor and it will explain it, right? You basically point it to your, you can use whatever. They got Visual Studio Code, but use whatever. You're going to go to your game folder, basically, and point it at that. But I've been very happy just using this built-in one. Okay, so let's figure this out here. What do we want to do? Well, we've got this one we know is 7. We've got 8, 9, 10, and now 11, right? Well, let's what should we do? What should we do? Well, let's make the next 2. I'm just going to copy this. Paste it in. Let's see if it's 8 or 9, not 59, and get rid of those. Do all of the same thing here, right? The tilling and everything else, but now cactus, right? It's not going to work right now because we've not unlocked it. We need to get to the 5K, but I want to put it in, and then I'm actually just going to go right up against the edge here. Put these little, I want to just put these markers in here so that when we get to it, it's good to go, right? But we still got 10 and 11 as well. So what do we want to do? Well, we really need more carrots. That is a thing, okay? So I'm going to put this down here, copy it, paste it. I'm going to say, hey, if it's 10 or I is equal to 11, plant carrots. I don't need to do anything else to that. Let's now run this. We're skipping over this because cactus is not unlocked, but the code is in place, right? So you're going to see right now these 2, nothing, okay? But now we've got our extra carrots there. We have a mistake because that says 1 and it should be 11. Run it again. I'm going to zoom out so you don't hear the clicking so much. Okay, while that's going, actually let's have it do the first pass. Right, there we go. And then our cactus will be in these two. When we unlock them, we need to get to 5K. Come on, pumpkins. Show me those giant pumpkins. Ah, see? These ones, these dead ones are just killing it for us right now. Pardon the pun. Didn't mean it. Come on, you can... see, if it wasn't for those, we would have had a humongous pumpkin. Come on, you can do it. Yeah, okay, we're getting there, look. This is 3. We're getting more than enough carrots. Right? Our water is slowly going down, but we've got enough that we're ahead of the curve here a little bit, right? We got more than enough electricity, so we don't need another row of another column of sunflowers right now. Can we boost this yet? Not quite. But we're working towards our 5K, right? Look at the size of these pumpkins. Crazy, right? Only for these dead ones. Ugh, look at that thing. It's nuts. Essentially, once we get to cactus, that's all we really need to care about as far as different entity types for a while, because yeah, dinosaur bones and this mystery one, and we know we need treasure at some point. Yeah, those, you know, obviously we need those, but we should really focus at that point on unlocking some of this coding functionality over here. And again, boosting our yields. These mazes are fun. I really want you to see those mazes. Those are cool. And the mega farm and that. So we really want to, you know, at this point, what I normally do is say, okay, I really need to maximize out this top section of the unlock tree, because I need such big quantities for some of this stuff down here that it makes sense to just let this sucker, you know, go through and make this happen. All right. Nearly. There we go. Let's do it. Cactus. Alright, cactus, cacti. Like other plants, cacti can be grown on soil and harvested as usual. However, they come in various sizes and strange sense of order. You can plant these next to each other, right? but there is a sorting order. Again, it's not really mattered too much for the yields at this stage, right? And there's some measuring you can do and a whole bunch of other stuff. And they give you some examples and some hints. We're not going to worry about that more advanced stuff for right now. We're going to stop our script. We're going to uncomment. Just remove those pound signs. Whoops. Done it again. And run this. We now have 2 columns of cactus. Hopefully. There you go. Right? Fabulous. Look, see? Different ones, like they say. Right? It gives me 9 and so on and so on. Brilliant. Here is our very basic starting farm for most things you're going to want until you get way down into the bottom of that tree. So essentially what I'm saying is this script right here, that's what you're going to be running for a while. If you don't care about things like fertilizer and that, this will get you a long way into it. So now we're going to focus on trying to maximize some of the yield returns on some of this stuff, because we need 64k of pumpkins before we can expand again, right? Actually, I can boost that right now, so I'll do that. We are now getting 800% pumpkins. I need 312k of wood before I can get there. I need 307 before I can boost the trees. 819 of wood before I can, well, 819k of wood before I can get to watering. Fertilizer, again, I'm not concerned about that at this stage. Pumpkins we've spoken about. If I can get to 20k and boost the cactus, that would be phenomenally fantastic. Take a look at some of these. So we got variables here, right? We could unlock that right now if we felt that we needed it. We've got lists. Functions is going to be a thing, right? Dictionaries, the import statement, some utilities. Getting the cost of things, which is great if you want to check, like, do I have enough to plant this particular thing? Honestly, I've not found that to be too much of a problem. And then auto unlock, which essentially is a way to say, look, unlock these things automatically if based on some conditions, right? Again, late game stuff. Unless you want to go nuts and really optimize it, but you don't have to, is what I'm saying, right? We might as well get the variables. Variables, if you're familiar with programming, you know what a variable is. But basically you can say some name of something equals some value, right? A equals 5, B equals can harvest, whatever, okay? So A equals 5, so for A in range of 5, because that's what that value of A is, do a flip and so on. All right, it's useful for optimizing things a lot in this. So for example, you know, like if we were calling get world size more than twice, I mean, calling it more than once is a bit resource hungry, right? Get the value once, use that value, speeds things up is what I'm saying, okay? And also makes your code a little more reliable. So what do I mean by that? Well, we could do this, right? I could say the farm size equals get world size, right? So whatever that number is will be assigned here, and we won't have to call this function twice because we know the value. So we are speeding things up and optimizing it just a little bit by now replacing this with this. Does that make sense? Right? If you're a non-programmer, let me know, but that should make sense. And so the more complex your script is, the more you're going to want to make it more efficient. And it'll run quicker, which means the drone runs quicker and everything else. So that's variables. Almost there to get more grass, which will let us boost the trees, which will let us boost the water. Boosting the carrots right now, I don't feel I need to. We are getting more carrots than we need to plant plant pumpkins. That's the good news. In fact, we could almost right now replace one of these with more wood. So here's what I'm going to do. I've got the 2 carrots over here. I could do away with this one. So we could actually now go back take this one, right? No, let's take that one. So we're going to say or I equals 2, and I'll get rid of those carrots. So that's going to give me my 3 columns back, right? Remember, we want these to alternate. We don't want these trees next to each other. That's why I've done it like that. Okay, good. That'll help get us to 312 quicker. 307 there. And again, what I could do is I could flip this around and say, okay, stop that script. Run the one that just plants grass so that I can get a lot of this really quickly, right? To then boost this level. That is an option, but I don't feel it's going to benefit me enough at this stage that I shouldn't just be gathering all the different things instead. So I'm going with my main script here for this. Might as well benefit from getting all these resources. All right. Plus everything is nicely bunched together, so that works. The most important 2 to have together is definitely the pumpkins and the cactus. The 2 that you, like I say, you don't want to have together, right, is you don't want trees next to each other in any of this grid. That's why we've figured out this pattern, because it'll slow the growing down crazy amount. I'll just zoom out there to reduce the sound a little. The only downside is I can't read the script, right? If I was using an external editor, wouldn't be a problem. And again, I love that you've got the option to do that. I want to get in just close enough so that those of you watching can hopefully read the script so that you can benefit from what I'm doing here and replicate it if you want. But again, if you want to see these scripts in detail with full-on explanations and everything and how this all works, go to that link there for the blog post, and that is certainly going to help you out as a reference point. Alright, so I got my basic script in place here for all this basic stuff. This is my basic farming script that I've been using every time I've played this. I'm going to leave it here for now because the internet is dying again. Thank you, Spectrum Internet. Really appreciate giving you all that money for what now? I will be back for the next session on this where we will continue to dive deeper. I really love this game. Cocoa Type, you just got first after a couple of hours, buddy, but my internet is sucking. Sorry. But I will, hopefully later tonight, my internet won't suck so much. We'll see. But in the next session, we will elaborate this script further and continue to expand our world here on the farm. I really have enjoyed playing this game in the pre-release when I got to look at it, and so I'm not just saying it. This is such fun for me as both a gamer and a programmer, especially because I love farming games. You're heading to a place to get stabbed. Can't stay. All right. Well, good luck with that. Worry. Hopefully, I'll see you later, buddy. He must be going downtown. So that's it, folks. That's what we got here right now. And we will continue this in the next session. Certainly enough for you to get started. All right. So we will do more in the next session.